Gregory Thompson stood tall in his community, a self-made real estate mogul with properties scattered across the island, from Ocho Rios to Montego Bay. He was the kind of man who wore his success like a crown, always in crisp linen shirts, gold chains peeking out from beneath his collar, and the unmistakable air of someone who knew what power felt like. In his late 50s, Gregory wasn't just a businessman, he was a king in his own right. And at the center of his pride was his only child, Malik Thompson. Just 22, Malik had inherited his mother's softer features and his father's commanding presence. A talented film student at the University of the West Indies, Malik was passionate, thoughtful, and deeply loyal to his father. Ever since his mother had passed from cancer when Malik was 16, the bond between father and son had grown unshakable, or so it seemed. It was at a university fundraiser where Malik first laid eyes on Shanice Brown, and everything began to shift. Shanice was magnetic. With her radiant smile, caramel complexion, and confident stride, she could light up a room without saying a word. At 21, she was studying nursing, living with her aunt in Portmore, and working part-time at a local pharmacy. Malik was instantly drawn to her, captivated by her wit, her ambition, and the way she challenged his ideas without fear. Their romance unfolded quickly, like a summer storm. They were inseparable. Study dates turned into long beach walks. Lazy Sundays became romantic escapes to Negril. For the first time since his mother's death, Malik felt whole again. Gregory, however, saw things differently. He watched their relationship with a quiet, growing disapproval. At first, it was subtle side comments about Shanice's background, offhand remarks about how Malik was too distracted from his film work. Malik brushed it off, assuming his father was just being protective. But Gregory's opinions soon hardened into commands. One evening over dinner in the Thompson mansion, elegantly lit with the sound of distant crickets humming through the open windows, Gregory leaned back in his chair, swirling a glass of 18-year-old rum. "You need to end it with that girl," he said flatly. Malik blinked in confusion. "Why? What's wrong with Shanice?" "She's not your future," Gregory replied, cold and definitive. "She doesn't understand our world. You're building a legacy, son. Don't throw it away for puppy love." Malik was stunned, hurt, angry, but more than anything he was confused. Gregory had barely spent any time around Shanice. Why the sudden insistence? That night, Malik and Shanice had their first real argument. He told her about his father's concerns, and she responded with tears and frustration. "So your father gets to decide who you love now?" she snapped. "Are you really that weak?" Malik didn't know what to say. He felt torn in half, his loyalty to his father battling his love for Shanice. In the end, the pressure proved too much. Just weeks after that conversation, Malik ended the relationship. No explanation, no closure. Just a heartbreaking message sent in the middle of the night. "I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry." Shanice never replied. Malik retreated into himself, pouring his energy into school, film, and long nights alone in his room. He thought he was doing the right thing, choosing legacy, choosing loyalty. What he didn't know was that Gregory had already made his move. What started as a disapproving father pushing his son to end a relationship was something far more sinister. Behind the mask of concern lay envy, obsession, and desire. And while Malik tried to pick up the pieces of his broken heart, Gregory was quietly laying the foundation for the greatest betrayal of all. After Malik ended things, Shanice Brown was devastated. She didn't cry in front of friends, didn't post cryptic messages online. No, she vanished, skipped classes, took extra shifts at the pharmacy, stopped answering calls from mutual friends. The breakup had gutted her. Not just because she had loved Malik, but because it came without warning, like a door slamming shut in a storm. In her quiet, private anguish, she never expected the knock at her door. It was Gregory. He showed up one evening unannounced, driving the same black Mercedes-Benz that used to pick her and Malik up for Sunday dinners. He wore a tailored suit and brought with him a bottle of wine and an apology. "Can we talk?" he asked. "Just talk." Shanice hesitated. Her instinct told her this was wrong. But curiosity, loneliness, and the raw ache of Malik's betrayal made her nod. She let him in. They sat on her aunt's veranda beneath the soft hum of ceiling fans, the Kingston air heavy and damp. Gregory spoke like a father figure, gentle, understanding, even regretful. "I never wanted you two to break up," he said softly, his voice honey smooth. "I was just worried. Malik's future, his goals. I didn't mean to push him away from you." Shanice listened, arms crossed, unsure of what to believe. But his voice, that commanding yet calming voice, chipped away at her defenses. He visited again and again, always with an excuse, dropping off groceries, offering to help with her aunt's house repairs, or just checking in. Then came the moment everything changed. One afternoon, Gregory invited her to lunch. He took her to a luxury hilltop villa outside of town, one of his newest developments, not yet open to the public. The view was breathtaking. The ocean shimmering like liquid sapphire, palm trees swaying in rhythm with the wind. Over grilled snapper and wine, he told her she was beautiful, that she deserved better, that Malik had made a terrible mistake. "I see you, Shanice," he said, his hand grazing hers. "Not just the woman you are, but the woman you could be. You're strong, intelligent, deserving of more than broken promises." Shanice's heart raced. She wanted to recoil. She wanted to run. But Gregory's words struck a chord. They echoed all the things she had told herself late at night. The questions, the doubts, the desire to feel wanted again. That day she didn't run. What began as innocent encounters escalated into flirtation, then into passion. Within weeks, they were lovers. By day, Gregory played the role of a respectable businessman. But by night, he indulged in a dangerous affair with the woman his son once called the love of his life. He booked hotel rooms under fake names, sent her lavish gifts, jewelry, spa treatments, designer clothes. He even promised her a luxury apartment in Halfway Tree, a car, and funding for her nursing business. Shanice, once hesitant, now embraced the affair. Whether it was revenge, validation, or greed, something inside her had shifted. But even as the relationship deepened, secrecy bred tension. Gregory became jealous, possessive. He started showing up unannounced, calling her multiple times a day. He wanted her to quit school, to stay at his mansion more often, to give up her independence. At first, Shanice thought it was passion. But soon she realized it was control. Meanwhile, Malik noticed something was off. His father's sudden generosity, the cryptic conversations, the way Gregory snapped at him whenever Shanice's name was mentioned. It all felt wrong. One night, he overheard a phone conversation. Gregory was pacing the hallway, whispering, agitated. "You don't talk to him, you understand me? I told you, he can't find out yet." Malik froze. The next morning, Malik followed his father after breakfast. It was supposed to be a routine business day, but Gregory didn't go to work. Instead, he drove across town and picked up Shanice. Malik sat in his beat-up Honda Civic, fists clenched on the steering wheel, watching his father kiss the woman he still loved. His world shattered. By the time they returned to the Thompson estate, Malik was already inside, waiting, seething, shaking. "What the hell is going on?" he shouted as they entered the living room. Shanice gasped. Gregory, always composed, remained calm. "Malik, I told you to stay out of grown people's business." "You're sleeping with her?" Malik yelled. "After you made me break up with her? After everything?" Shanice tried to speak, but Malik turned on her. "You knew what you were doing," he said, eyes wet with betrayal. "You planned this." "No," Shanice replied. "I didn't." "Get out," Malik said. "Get out of this house." Gregory stepped in. "She stays. You go." That moment was the final rupture. Father and son, once close, were now enemies. Outside, as a storm rolled in over Kingston, Malik stood in the driveway staring at the mansion that used to be his home. His fists clenched, jaw tight, chest burning. Not just with pain, but with something darker. Something that would grow, and eventually explode. The Thompson estate, once a symbol of unity and legacy, now echoed with silence, tension, and barely contained rage. What was once a home full of shared memories had become a war zone of unspoken betrayal and stifled heartbreak. Malik moved out the same night. He packed in a frenzy, stuffing clothes and books into duffel bags while his father and Shanice remained downstairs, whispering behind closed doors. No one tried to stop him. No apologies were offered. As he slammed the front door behind him, the sound felt like a final severing, one that couldn't be undone. He crashed on a friend's couch in New Kingston for weeks, too ashamed to explain the truth. His heart was shattered, but worse was the humiliation. His father, his hero, had stabbed him in the back in the most unthinkable way, and the woman he had imagined building a future with was now sleeping in the very bed his mother once shared with Gregory. The betrayal haunted him. Meanwhile, inside the mansion, Gregory and Shanice's twisted paradise began to decay. At first, their relationship flourished behind heavy drapes and locked doors. Gregory lavished her with luxury, new clothes, fine dining, weekend trips to Montego Bay. He introduced her to high society circles as his business associate, and sometimes his companion. Shanice, always dressed in elegance, turned heads and raised eyebrows, but no one dared to ask questions. Not with Gregory Thompson. But what started as a fantasy soon began to rot. Gregory's charm faded into arrogance. His attentiveness morphed into control. He began monitoring Shanice's phone, questioning her every move, demanding she account for every hour she was away from the house. "I gave up everything for you," he'd say. "I ruined my relationship with my son. Don't make me regret it." Shanice, who had once felt empowered by the affair, now felt trapped. The whispers in their social circle didn't help either. Kingston wasn't a city where secrets stayed buried. Gossip flowed like river water, and soon, rumors of Gregory's relationship with a woman half his age, and his son's ex, began to surface. Invitations to parties dried up. Business deals fell through. Gregory began losing face. Malik, meanwhile, was unraveling in his own way. He had withdrawn from his university courses, abandoned his short film project, and rarely returned phone calls. Friends tried to console him, but nothing reached the bitterness growing inside him like wildfire. One night, after drinking too much at a street party in Halfway Tree, Malik got into a fistfight with a stranger who bumped into him. Took 3 men to pull him off. Bloodied and breathless, Malik sat on the curb, staring up at the moon, wondering how his life had spiraled so far, so fast. Then came the unexpected twist. Shanice got pregnant. She discovered it on a rainy Thursday afternoon, staring at the 2 pink lines on a test in a pharmacy restroom. Her first reaction wasn't joy, it was dread. Gregory was ecstatic. "This is our fresh start," he said, beaming. "A child. A legacy. One that doesn't involve Malik." But to Shanice, it felt like a prison sentence. She was now tied to a man she had begun to fear. A man who had become volatile, possessive, and unpredictable. Every argument ended with veiled threats. Every disagreement with emotional manipulation. The mansion felt like a golden cage, and she was the bird with clipped wings. Shanice began contemplating escape. She quietly contacted Malik. At first, he ignored her messages. But eventually, curiosity and unresolved emotion got the better of him. They met in secret, at a secluded spot near UWI where they used to hang out under the stars, back when love was easy. She told him everything. About the manipulation, about the pregnancy, about how Gregory was slowly unraveling, and how she feared what he might do if he ever found out they'd spoken. Malik listened, torn between rage and a flicker of sympathy. But when she confessed that the baby might not even be Gregory's, that it could be his, everything changed. A storm raged within him. He had been betrayed by both of them. And now this, the past, the pain, the power struggles, it was all collapsing into one brutal, tangled mess. The Thompson legacy, built on wealth and reputation, was now rotting from the inside. Trust had been shattered. Lines had been crossed. And beneath it all, a dangerous tension brewed. one that could no longer be held back. What no one knew was that the worst was yet to come. Because the moment Shanice revealed the truth, a deadly chain reaction had begun. A week after Shanice's secret meeting with Malik, everything began to spiral. She returned to the mansion with guilt stitched into every breath. Gregory noticed immediately. He had an uncanny way of sensing shifts, body language, tone, silence. That night, while they were having dinner under dim chandelier light, he set down his fork and stared at her. "You met with him, didn't you?" Shanice froze. Gregory's eyes didn't blink. "Don't lie to me." She opened her mouth, but the truth was already rising. She nodded. Gregory didn't shout. He didn't slam his fists or storm away. No, he just sat back in his chair, folded his hands, and whispered, "You've betrayed me." For the first time, Shanice felt something colder than fear. She felt watched, trapped, hunted. That same week, Malik began digging. The news of the possible paternity had shaken him to his core. He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. His mind looped through every interaction, every warning sign, every memory that now felt like a breadcrumb toward some greater truth. He went through old text messages, old photos, old voicemails. Then, something strange happened. One night, he received a call from a woman he didn't recognize. Her voice was soft, scared. "You don't know me, but I used to work for your father." Her name was Nadine, a former housekeeper. She said she had left the job abruptly after an incident involving Gregory and one of his mistresses. She didn't want to say much over the phone, but she agreed to meet Malik in person. At a quiet cafe in Spanish Town, Nadine told him a story that chilled him. Gregory had a pattern. He charmed young women, promised them money, security, affection. But the moment they questioned him, tried to leave, or threatened his control, he'd turn violent. Nadine claimed she once walked in on Gregory roughing up a girl who tried to leave him. She was paid to stay silent. And when she refused, she was fired. "I think your father has hurt more women than you know," she said. "You need to be careful." Malik left shaken. Everything he thought he knew about his father was collapsing. The powerful man who had once stood as his role model, his protector, was a predator hiding behind polished suits and real estate deals. He started investigating further. He pulled bank records, spoke to old family friends, traced whispers from ex-employees. What he uncovered was a pattern of control, manipulation, and suspected abuse. Rumors of a former mistress who vanished. A teenage intern from Gregory's company who tried to take her own life. Files swept under the rug. Payouts. Silence. The man Malik once idolized wasn't just morally corrupt, he was dangerous. Back at the mansion, Gregory's grip on reality began to slip. He drank more, popped prescription pills, canceled meetings. He accused Shanice of cheating every time she left the house. He started locking his office door, hiding documents, whispering to himself in the study. One evening, in a rage, he ripped her phone from her hand and threw it into the pool. "No more secrets," he shouted. "You belong to me, Shanice." She knew she had to leave. She packed a small bag, waited until Gregory was passed out in his study, and snuck out through the back gate. She went straight to Malik's apartment. This time, he let her in without a word. She collapsed into his arms. Tears, apologies, regret. "I'm scared," she said. "He's not well, Malik. He's unraveling. I don't feel safe anymore." Malik held her as her sobs shook her body. And as she cried, something changed in him too. The anger that had once burned like wildfire now became focused, sharp, cold. The next morning, Malik made a decision. He was going to expose his father. He gathered the evidence, testimonies from ex-employees, messages from Shanice, financial documents that pointed to hush payments, and most importantly, a secret video he recovered from a cloud backup. A video of Gregory threatening Shanice during an argument. His face contorted with rage. His voice thick with menace. It was undeniable. Malik scheduled a meeting with a journalist from one of Jamaica's top investigative outlets. He was ready to burn the house down. But what Malik didn't know, what no one knew, was that Gregory had already begun preparing for the worst. He had someone following Shanice. He had tapped her new phone. And he knew about the meeting. And if there was one thing Gregory Thompson feared more than losing his power, it was public disgrace. And he was willing to kill to stop it. The morning sun poured over Kingston like honey, but inside Malik's apartment, the air was heavy. The kind of heavy that wraps around your lungs, warning you that something awful is coming. Malik sat by the window, laptop open, documents scattered across the table. Bank statements, photos, voice recordings, the chilling video of his father screaming threats at Shanice. His hands trembled not with fear, but with resolve. He was going to destroy the monster behind the mask. Shanice was asleep in his bed, curled up in a ball. Her phone was turned off, her mind and body exhausted. For once, she seemed safe, but they both knew it wouldn't last. Gregory Thompson didn't forgive betrayal. He erased it. 2 days before the scheduled interview with the journalist, Malik got an anonymous text. "You're making a mistake. Stop now or everything burns." He knew it was from Gregory. The tone, the menace, it was unmistakable. He ignored it. The next day, his university sent him a notice of academic suspension for alleged plagiarism. The charge was bogus. Someone had accessed his student portal and uploaded fake work. Malik knew who was behind it. Then his landlord called. Someone had filed a complaint that drugs were being sold from his apartment. The police showed up that night. Gregory was tightening the noose. Using every thread of power, he still had to sabotage Malik's credibility before the truth got out. But Malik had expected this. He wasn't backing down. Meanwhile, Shanice began bleeding. She woke up in the middle of the night with sharp cramps and blood staining the sheets. Malik rushed her to the hospital. The doctor said it was a threatened miscarriage. Stress, trauma, fear. All of it was catching up to her. The baby was still alive for now. But the doctor warned her, "If you don't rest and remove yourself from danger, you'll lose this child." The next morning, Shanice made a heartbreaking confession. "I don't know who the father is, Malik," she whispered. "But I pray to God it's you, because I don't want any piece of him in my life." Malik didn't respond. He just held her hand. In that moment, it didn't matter whose blood flowed through the child. What mattered was protecting it from Gregory. That same day, the journalist Malik had arranged to meet was in a car accident. She survived, but barely. The brakes on her car had been cut. Malik got the call while standing in line at a pharmacy. His heart sank. This wasn't coincidence anymore. It was war. And now there was blood on Gregory's hands. Later that night, Malik received a package outside his apartment door. No return address. Inside, a flash drive and a note. "Watch this before you go any further." He locked the door, inserted the drive, and watched the footage. It was surveillance video, grainy but clear enough. It showed Shanice months ago, entering a hotel room. Moments later, a man followed her in. It wasn't Gregory. It wasn't Malik. It was a third man, unknown, older. The video was timestamped 2 weeks before she moved into the mansion. Attached to the video was a message. "She's lying to you. She always has. You don't know her like you think you do." Malik's mind reeled. Had Shanice been playing both sides? Was she using him? Was the baby not even his or Gregory's? His trust, already brittle, began to crack. And Gregory knew it. This was the blackmail, the psychological warfare. If he couldn't control Malik with threats, he'd confuse him with doubt. Malik confronted Shanice. First, she denied it. Then her silence gave her away. "Yes," she admitted. "There was someone else. Just once. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I thought Gregory was going to kill me if I left. And I thought you'd never forgive me if I came back." Malik backed away from her like she was radioactive. Everything he had sacrificed, everything he had planned, it all came crashing down. He didn't speak for hours. Then he said only this, "I still have to stop him, whether you're with me or not." Back at the Thompson estate, Gregory sat in his study, staring at a wall of monitors, security feeds, tapped phone calls, GPS trackers. His empire had become a surveillance state. He wasn't just trying to stay ahead, he was preparing for something final. In a locked drawer of his desk sat a 9mm pistol. Next to it, 2 passports, bundles of US cash, and a forged exit visa. He knew the storm was coming. He wasn't planning to be around when it all fell apart. The nights in Kingston were growing darker, the shadows heavier. Malik could feel the walls closing in, even if he didn't know how much time he had left before everything exploded, before his father's empire of lies collapsed. Shanice's health was deteriorating. The doctor warned that stress was threatening the baby. Malik wasn't sure if the pregnancy would survive, but he knew he had to end this toxic game. Fast. For the first time, he was seeing Gregory Thompson not as a father, but as a stranger. A monster hiding behind success and wealth. Malik no longer felt like Gregory's son. He felt like prey. One rainy evening, sitting alone in his apartment, Malik stared at the storm outside. He couldn't trust anyone. Not Shanice, not the journalist, not his father's old allies. Then the phone rang. It was Nadine. Her voice trembled. "I have something. It's bad, Malik. Real bad. I'm scared." "Tell me where," he said. She directed him to an abandoned warehouse near the docks. Malik arrived soaked and tense. Nadine was waiting, pale and shaking. She handed him a folder. "Take it before it's too late." Inside, bank records, names, photos, and a letter in Gregory's handwriting. "You know the truth. This is the final payment for your silence. Don't cross me." The letter wasn't to Malik. It was to someone Gregory had silenced. But the content revealed far worse. Child trafficking, runaways used for leverage, all hidden behind charities and bribes. "He was controlling everything," Nadine whispered. "Even the system. He made kids disappear." Malik was sickened. Gregory wasn't just corrupt, he was a predator. Then, footsteps. Gregory stepped out of the shadows, calm, as if this was just another business deal. "You shouldn't have come here," he said coldly. "I know what you are," Malik replied, folder in hand. "And I'm going to expose you. You think anyone will believe you over me? I have proof." Gregory lunged, knocking the folder aside. A struggle erupted. Then gunshot. Nadine collapsed. Gregory held the smoking gun. "She threatened my empire," he snarled. Malik's rage boiled over. "You'll pay for this," he said, fury in his voice. Gregory remained calm. "This is how the world works. You'll never change it." "I'm not afraid of you anymore," Malik said. "You're done." Gregory laughed. "Everything you are is because of me. I'll bury you." But Malik stood firm. "Not this time." Gregory raised the gun again. Malik lunged. A fight broke out, violent, desperate. Blood, pain. Malik barely stood, but he wouldn't back down. "I'm not a boy anymore," he said through bloodied lips. "And you're not untouchable." Gregory hesitated. For the first time, he looked afraid. Malik pinned him to the wall. "It's over." Police sirens echoed outside. Moments later, they stormed in. Gregory was arrested. The evidence was undeniable. His empire collapsed. Malik sat outside the station, exhausted. The worst was over. The man who had controlled so many lives was finally behind bars. But the damage remained. His relationship with Shanice was fractured. The baby still uncertain. His family would never be the same. The father they trusted had been a monster all along. As the rain poured, Malik closed his eyes. The storm within was finally starting to quiet. He had broken free. And though the road ahead was uncertain, he had finally taken the first step toward peace. For